Before taking advice from anyone, you must be clear about the results you want. Otherwise, you will find yourself crossing boundaries you never planned to and in situations you never thought you would be in. This is what I learned through my circumstances. I am Adia, and I am a 48-year-old single mother of 3. This is not where I thought I would be, and I certainly don't want to be here. But a series of decisions I took brought me to this place, and it has become my long-term reality. This is my story. I got married to Ibinabo, IB, 25 years ago. We were both the same age. He was only older than me by 2 months. Our relationship was quite turbulent, even though we both loved each other very much. It was not so much a case of dominance of one person over another. Rather, in retrospect, I can see that it was a case of immaturity on both sides, and neither of us seeing things from the other's perspective. I have always been a very independent-minded and outspoken girl. My mother raised me that way. We were 2 girls, and she and my father were never married. They had some kind of civil arrangement, and eventually he left her for another woman when I was 6 and my sister was 3. My father barely featured in our lives, although from time to time he would show up with a few food items. My mother made sure we understood from a young age that no one was coming to save us, and that the most important thing we could do for ourselves was to be ready to stand up for our rights and not be cowered by anyone. She had to work very hard to provide a somewhat comfortable lifestyle, and so we had to grow up quickly and take care of ourselves while she was away. My sister and I were both very enterprising, and we were always finding opportunities to make money. We were definitely not wayward, but we were not naive about life in general and about how to handle ourselves with men. I was 19 and in my second year of university when I met IB. I used to sell books at the time, novels, self-help books, and general knowledge topics. I was known in my faculty because I marketed my products shamelessly, and also because I was very vocal about my views, especially when it came to issues of social justice. He was a year ahead of me in another department in the same faculty. We started out being friends and just talking generally. We tended to argue a lot about issues, but I guess that was part of the attraction. A group of us would start out discussing an issue, and he and I were often on opposing sides. Eventually, everyone would drop off the discussion, and it would be only both of us having a drawn-out discussion. I found him interesting, and our relationship just kind of grew as we found ourselves spending more time together. One thing led to another, and we started to get physically involved. Even though we did not go all the way, we did everything else and got as far as we could without the actual act. We were both very wary of having an unwanted pregnancy. In retrospect, I also believe that this severely complicated things between us because we had some kind of fight and make-up mechanism where we would be arguing heatedly one minute and the next we were all over each other. The strong sexual pull between us was the major reason we decided to get married immediately I finished school and completed my service year. We did not plan much. We just figured things out as we went along. The children came in quick successions because of this. We both did not like external protection, and I did not know much about family planning methods. He usually just pulled out, but obviously it did not work because I had our first child in the 11th month of our marriage, the second one a year after, and before I knew it, I was pregnant with the third one when the second was only 5 months. I had planned to get some family planning when the baby was 6 months. We did not go to church because we were both not raised that way, even though we tried to institute some worship of God into our home, but it never lasted long. IB got a job as a marketer in a consumer goods company. He was good at selling, so he got good commissions and we were comfortable. I also tried to keep up with my enterprising spirit, but having 3 young children at the age of 26 was not a walk in the park, so I was hampered. IB was a good dad. He helped when he was around and we hired a maid to help me at home. But we argued all the time about everything. How to spend money, how I felt isolated from life and wanted to go out with him more, how he got jealous about me talking to my friends on the phone when he was around and wanted attention. There was just always something going on between us, and we ended up using all kinds of methods to resolve our fights, from silent treatment to any form of punishment we could individually devise. Eventually, we would make up in a passionate physical session and make promises to each other that we would eventually break, and the cycle continued. I was in my early 30s when I got into a group of friends. We were 4 in the group and we tabled all our personal issues for solutions amongst us. One had a husband who lived outside the country, one was a single mother, and one was divorced. They became my haven whenever IB and I argued. Truthfully, he got busier at work and he did not have the energy to fight me as much, but I did not back down. Around the same time, he started staying out longer and keeping female friends, and we would argue about that. I read him the Riot Act several times and I stormed out of the house a few times to spend the night with one of my friends. He would call me and beg me to come home whenever that happened, but he did not stop his relationships with the women. I did not have evidence of any full-blown cheating, but my friends believed he must be doing it. The final straw came when one of them actually saw him one afternoon with a lady in a restaurant and sent me the picture. When I confronted him, he insisted that she was just a colleague, but I was hurt and angry. I listened to my friends who convinced me he was lying, and I decided to move out. I got a small apartment and I refused to pick his call for about 2 weeks. My plan was just to let him know I could do without him, but things went downhill from there. He called my bluff after sending me several unanswered messages, and then he stopped reaching out. I also responded by not contacting him, and before we knew it, 3 months had gone. I got monthly credit alerts of the amount he usually gave me for upkeep, but that was it. I missed him sorely, but I made up my mind not to call or reach out if he did not. And I guess he was tired and angry, so he did not reach out either. Our parents tried to intervene. Even my mother tried to convince me, but I told her he had to come looking for me. He, however, insisted that it was I who left, and if I wanted to come back, I should move back home. We did not speak for 6 months, and eventually, I heard that a lady had moved into our home to stay with him. At that point, I got a lawyer to write him with terms for a divorce. IB did not even contest it. He agreed and signed immediately. He kept sending me money for upkeep and even increased it periodically. When we finally spoke, a few months after the divorce was signed, I could still see concern for me in his attitude, and I still felt strongly drawn to him. We spoke about the kids and about work, and it was a cordial conversation. There were obviously many unspoken words, but we had taken things too far to call them back. When he requested that I let him be involved in the kids' lives, I willingly conceded. It's been a very long time, but we are still friendly. I did not remarry, but he did, and he has 2 other children. Looking back, I know we could have worked things out, but I listened to faulty advice, and we were both childish. I eventually outgrew my friendship with the other ladies because I got tired of always tabling problems. I am a lot calmer now, and I found Jesus about 8 years ago. That has been the anchor of my life, and I wish I had known him much earlier. Please share your thoughts about Adia's story in the comments below. Remember to subscribe to my channel and to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos.